Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and Ting and Ting and Ting. Back with some more vibes for all you. I'm Mr. Giant, like the t-shirt says. Man, I hope you guys are having a good time out there, you know what I mean? I hope your all's evening is going good because I'm watching videos in the evening and Ting, you know what I mean? I'm watching it there, you know what I mean? And hey, as always, man, thank you guys for all the comments and stuff. I love reading the comments. I read them all. And I have to admit, I don't respond to every single one of them. 'Cause I work, you know what I mean? And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I come from work so tired I just fall asleep. And I watch videos just to relax and things. So I'm hopefully you're all, watching this with me and relaxing a little bit and you know what I mean? And learn while you react. You know what I'm saying? Now, this one here, somebody suggests that I watch this one here, and it's called When Christians First Met Muslims, and it's by a gentleman named Professor Michael Penn. So this should be an absolute interesting video to watch because these days all you hear is the battle between Christianity and Islam, you know, and I think that's more political than anything else. But we're gonna go watch this and see what happened when they first met. Let's YouTube and simmer.
If history matters, then getting right the history of the first encounters of the modern world's two largest religions, Christianity and Islam, really matters. Problem is, we likely have that history wrong. The received story of Christian-Muslim interactions is a story of unrelenting military conflict, beginning with Islamic expansion shortly after the birth of the new religion in 7th century Arabia, and ending with the siege of Constantinople, with a few crusades thrown in the middle for good measure. Now, there's nothing factually inaccurate about this narrative. The problem is simply that's only a small part of a much larger story.
Let's hear it.
Early Christianity is primarily seen as a religion of the Mediterranean basin that spread with the Roman Empire and was recorded in Greek and Latin. But a large number of early Christians lived in what would be modern-day Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and eastern Turkey, while generally writing in a dialect of Aramaic called Syriac. Due to a series of 5th century theological controversies, most Western Christians considered these Syriac Christians heretics and essentially wrote them out of history. My own research focuses on how the history of Christianity changes if we no longer ignore that for centuries, the geographic center of Christianity was not Rome or even Constantinople, but rather Baghdad. The recovery of this essentially lost history.
Wow. But then again, when you go through history, if you notice, there's always like one of the main Christians visited those places. Man, I can't remember which one it was, but even when I was doing one of the Napoleon videos, I saw where one of the apostles went to a certain part of the world where you wouldn't think there would be, or, you know, where Christianity wouldn't even be respected. But he was there, you know what I mean? And I think they traveled. So, but that's crazy right there to think, you know what I mean? Baghdad was the center of Christianity. See, I always thought that, and I guess I thought of it, I didn't read it anywhere or anything like that, but I guess it's probably understandable that the Romans adapted Christianity because it had the power to control the people, because they saw the control that Jesus had over the people, not his control, but the doctrine that he preached had the control. You know what I mean? And some people wouldn't call it control, would call it faith. And I totally understand that. I'm not bashing anybody's religion. I'm just saying, though, you know, the things people would do for something they believe in, especially they believe in it with the strength that's unparalleled to human understanding. You know what I mean? I, for one, it's humans for me. You know what I mean? It's not so much the doctrine. The doctrine is supposed to teach us how to treat each other. Because for some reason we need something like that. But this here is really interesting. Really interesting. Come on, Professor. Tell me more. Tell me more. so like a old rock and roll song there.
Of this essentially lost history of Christianity profoundly affects our understanding.
Political reasons why they would stop that, huh?
Muslim relations. Again, let me explain. The Prophet Muhammad was born around the year 570 in the city of Mecca. According to Islamic tradition, his prophecy began in 610 when he first received divine revelation. In 622, he fled to the city of Medina to escape persecution. There he and his growing followers thrived, and 8 years later, he triumphantly led a Median army into Mecca. He died around 632. His first successor oversaw a dramatic expansion, often known as the Islamic conquest. Muslim forces experienced unbelievable success in the following decades. In just a few years, they took over the entire Persian Empire, 2/3 of the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Empire. They soon controlled all of North Africa, Spain, and were only repelled in France. In the Eastern Mediterranean, military conflict between the Islamic and Byzantine empires continued for over 8 centuries, resolved only in 1453 when Islamic forces finally took the city of Constantinople, what is modern-day Istanbul. However, this well-accepted narrative is overly simplified because there are only a handful of modern scholars who can read writings in Syriac from the majority of early Christians who lived under Muslim rule. The problem is, if you stick to Greek and Latin sources, you're building your history of Christian reactions to Islam solely on the writings of Christians who were primarily in military conflict with Muslims. But up to half of ancient Christians lived in the Middle East and had a very different experience with Muslims than did most Greek and Latin Christians, with any military encounters over in just a few years. By the 640s, they were firmly within the Islamic Empire. How then would the history of Christian-Muslim relations change if instead of reading Christians often at odds with Muslims, we focus on Syriac Christians who had daily interactions with Muslims and thus a much more direct...
So they lived, from what I'm understanding, they sort of lived in together there as human beings, chilling. You believe, I believe. Politics, man. Politics is the problem in the vibe here. This is kind of cool. I like this. Let's keep going.
And thus a much more direct knowledge of Islam. I wrote 2 books exploring how in the Islamic Empire, these Christians held key governmental
to get those
positions,
books.
attended the Caliph's court in Baghdad, collaborated with Muslim scholars to translate Greek knowledge into Arabic, accompanied Muslim leaders on their campaigns against the Byzantines, and helped fund monasteries through donations from Muslims, including money from the Caliph himself. Middle Eastern Christians ate with Muslims, married Muslims, bequeathed estates to Muslim heirs, taught Muslim...
Did he just say married Muslims? That would be a cool world if that would be happening. I mean, you know what? I think it's happening now, but nobody's going to highlight that because it doesn't suit the political agenda. People will get along if left alone to get along without being indoctrinated with stuff and it's usually the things that doesn't actually help the people. They make peace and freedom come at a cost when it should just be simplistic. But you know what? If we so smart, how come we can do something so simple or so simplistic? I know a lot of people are going to go off on me about that, but that's all right. That's how I see the world. That's why I'm smiling all the time. I'm not angry about this different guy and that different guy. You know what I mean? You believe what you want to. And you can keep your beliefs to yourself and to your own people. And I might learn a thing or two from you because of your beliefs. Vice versa. Doesn't mean I have to switch over. Doesn't mean I have to join your group. I'll respect it, just as I expect you to respect mine. And we could live alongside each other, believe what we want to believe without going, you did this and you're wrong and I'm right. Who are we to say? My thinking is this. Listen, everybody's got free will. I mean, even the Bible says you have free will, believe what you want. But you will be judged later according to the Bible. So if somebody want to take the chance to believe what they want, and then the judge, we'll all find out in the long run who is right or wrong if there's a judgment coming. So let's just enjoy here. You know what I mean? If there are supreme beings, I don't think they put us on here to battle and fight and carry on and try to prove who's superior and who's right. That's what the final judgment is supposed to be for, right? Free will, believe what you want. Doesn't mean you have to try to get other people to believe the same thing. That's when it becomes political, when you're trying to get other people to believe the same thing, and especially with politicians using that to make people do what they want.
Taught Muslim children and were soldiers in Muslim armies. Writings from these ancient Middle Eastern Christians even depict a particularly amorphous nature of what we call Islam, suggesting that in the first centuries after Muhammad's death, there was much greater overlap between the categories Christian and Muslim than commonly acknowledged. This does not mean that the earliest encounters between Christians and Muslims were always harmonious or kumbaya. The incredible diversity of Syriac discussions of Muslims, ranging from overtly antagonistic to downright friendly, makes any simplistic narrative extremely difficult. But it also refutes any depiction of a monolithic Christian reaction to Islam. Now, for historians of interreligious encounters, such results should not be surprising.
I'm not surprised.
The increasing dominance of a conflict model of Christian-Muslim relations has effectively drowned out most other voices. It is here where these previously lost sources are so valuable. By expanding our perspective, these early Christian writings show that rather than existing as firmly bound independent entities, much less inevitably clashing civilizations, for centuries, Christians and Muslims constantly exhibited points of permeability, interdependence, and convergence. I am Michael Penn for the Amir Stein Center.
And I'm not surprised it was like that, because ordinary people get along regardless. Man, I've got Hindi friends, I've got Muslim friends, I've got friends in all the different Christian denominations. I don't fight with them. We chill, we hang, you know what I mean? They don't drink, well, I don't drink neither. I'm not a prolific drinker. I can't stand being tipsy, much less drunk. But, and that's not for any religious reasons, that's just for my human whatever. I can't figure out the word. But the point is, there's a reason why they hide the fact that those people got along, because they don't want them to get along. Because if they're in conflict, wherever they are, whatever the places are that have resources that the other side need, they need the people to dislike them, thinking that they're taking it all, or whatever, political reasons. people generally get along. They generally do. Now, some people are going to say, "Well, that's not true. That's not true." It's a fact. If it wasn't true, we'll be constantly beating each other up and fighting and killing each other and hanging each other as we speak. Of course, we do it, but it's usually encased or wrapped in some political crap, and that's the truth there. You know what I mean? Like, the people who don't understand that's what's happening are the ones that vehemently use their religious beliefs to hate the other side. When I was growing up, we were taught, as far as the Bible is concerned, love thy neighbor, as I said, judge not unless you be judged. You know what I mean? Christmas was like peace on earth, goodwill to men. Now, then every time Christmas come around, the war against Christmas, the word peace is completely taken away from it. It's all commercial and political and fighting and stuff. There's no, I rarely ever hear people say peace on earth, goodwill to men during Christmas anymore. That's a political agenda thing there. And it's every single year for the last like 10 years. You keep hearing the same thing. The war on Christmas, this, that, the other. You know, and there is, in a sense, there is, to a certain degree. Nobody's going to care if you say Merry Christmas. But they make it seem like if you say Merry Christmas, people are going to come with pitchforks and knives and kill you or something. Live and let live, man. I'll put a link in the description to this video. You all go check it out and thing. And I'm definitely going to get this gentleman's books and read it and see what's going on there. You know what I mean? Because we all know there's more to a story. And the story is told by those who want to control the way you think of someone else or somebody else's beliefs. But this is why I always say, go out there, meet a stranger, understand the stranger. Then we start taking care of each other. And everything is going to be cool runnings. You all take care, all right?